Greetings, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Under the Cupola. I'm Leon Gaumond, and I'm the town manager for the town of Weston, and I welcome you to the show. For those of you who have seen the show before, you'll know that I spend a lot of time meeting and talking with the people who make Weston very special. Typically, it's been a lot of department heads and employees of the town that work for the community. But recently, if you've noticed, I've started to reach out to some of the other groups and organizations in the town of Weston that really help make the community a really special place. Today, we're joined by Brian Howard, who is the executive director of the Spellman Museum of Stamps and Postal History.
That's correct.
And not only that, but he also has his own show here on Weston Media, so we are in direct competition with each other in the most friendliest way. Brian, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me on, Leon. We can arm wrestle later to see whose show is going to have.
I think it should be both. I think we should share the wealth, and I'll run it under my umbrella, and you can run it under your umbrella as well.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
So let me start by just saying, I'm no stranger to the world of stamp collecting. When I was a young child, my mother introduced me to stamp collecting. She had her own little collection, and I built my own little collection. Became a Boy Scout. I actually got the stamp collecting merit badge, which not too many people know there is such a thing. And I still, even after I graduated from college, I still periodically would tinker with my my stamp collection. Now, to be fair, I've been very busy in the last couple of decades, so I haven't given it as much attention, but I'm very proud of the collection that I was able to build, and working in Weston, it is really amazing that we have a premier organization in stamp collecting right here in town. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the museum first, and tell me a little bit about what visitors might experience if they come in and take a look around.
Okay, great. Well, you've said a lot of it already. I mean, there are enthusiasts all around. And one thing before I really get into the museum, I was surprised. I've been there a little over a year, and surprised at just how active the hobby continues to be here in the mid 21st century. I didn't really have an appreciation for it before going into the Spellman and seeing that the people of all ages and backgrounds still continue to collect and indulge their interests in everything related to philately, postal history, and the hobby of stamp collecting. So to have one of only two philatelic museums in the United States right here in the town of Weston is a real feather in our cap. The museum itself was established in the early 1960s. We opened to the public in 1963, and we are named for Cardinal Francis Spellman. His collection was one of the first major pieces of what became the Cardinal Spellman Philatelic Museum. And we have operated since then to not only promote the hobby of stamp collecting, but also to create exhibits, develop public programming, and do other types of community outreach to educate, enlighten, and inspire the citizens of Weston, the greater Metro West, about all of the aspects that can be found in or reflected on stamps. So it's a unique organization, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to be running it, bringing it to the community.
So tell me a little bit, where are you located? Where is it located within Weston?
We are right on the campus of Regis College off of Wellesley St. We're closer to the Route 30 intersection, and we are, as soon as you come onto the campus, you will see the museum on your left-hand side. We're a relatively small building. We have one large exhibit gallery, and we have a couple other smaller spaces where the public has access, in addition to a museum store and a research library. So we are open. We will soon be opening 5 days a week. Our schedule vacillates between 4 and 5 days a week throughout the year.
Good, and people can go on their website and figure out how to, when you guys are open and that sort of thing?
Yes, all the information about our public hours, how to visit, directions to get there can be found on spellmanmuseum.org. One thing I learned when I came in, there is another Spellman Museum in the United States. It's actually I think it's a town or a county historical society somewhere in Texas.
No.
But we are the Spellman Museum of Stamps, so it would be kind of hard to mix the two up.
So what brought you to this profession? How did you end up here in Weston running the Spellman Museum?
Okay. Well, full disclosure, I am not a stamp collector. I have been involved in the museum field for most of the last 30 years. It's been my career. I started out as an aviation museum curator, and I did that for a long time.
Yeah.
The Spellman Museum is the third museum that I have run. I was the director of a county historical society in upstate New York for about 12 and a half years. And then I spent a couple of years up on the North Shore at the North Andover Historical Society before coming here in September of 2023. I was drawn to the Spellman because it's the first real niche museum that I've had an opportunity to direct, and it reminded me in many ways of my time working in aviation museums, where you have a highly enthusiastic cadre of volunteers and a very specific subject matter. The challenge being to inspire people to come in, visit, and support your facility who probably, arguably, most don't have a particular interest in the subject matter. And if you can reach people that have never collected stamps before, have no real active interest in it, but if you can inspire them and show them that the organization is relevant in their lives and in the community, that to me is the definition of success.
Well, I mean, when I look at the stamp collecting and just stamps in general, the one interesting thing I find about them, and it's not just the United States, it's a worldwide thing, is that it's a good way of learning history or learning concepts about history, but also your culture as well. To see some of the art, historical figures, just public service entities that have been focused on and highlighted in stamps. It really is, it can say a lot about your character. It can really personalize what you're sending out, and it can really drive some real interest in things that you might not have an interest in, like history and learning about political figures or historical figures, etc.
Sure. Well, one of the taglines we've been kicking around is bringing you the universe in 2 dimensions. And that's what the hobby of stamp collecting can do. As you said, everything from United States and world history, social pioneers, science, the natural world, all of the things that are reflected in the medium of postage stamps are an opportunity for our museum to reach out to the community and make connections. A lot of people don't have an interest in history or science or any of these other topics, but I would argue that most people have an interest in at least one thing that they can find content for at our museum. So it's a real honor to do this for the people that come in, and to perpetuate a legacy which has been going now for over 60 years. And it's great to have this right here in the town of Weston.
And in a day of email, people still get letters and still have to send letters. So
yeah, and you had alluded to putting stamps on envelopes that say something about who the sender is. We have an opportunity at the museum. We have so much excess mint postage that we don't use bulk mailing. Everything that we send goes out first class with stamps that are surplus to our needs, and it's another opportunity for us to make an impression when a member or a prospective member receives a mailing from the museum. Our vendors will receive a package from us. It's just a great passive way for us to promote the museum's mission.
Yeah, a stamp made in 1965 still is worth what it says when it was made. So.
Yeah, and oftentimes I've found that kind of humorous because, again, coming from a non-philatelic background to running the museum, I too was somewhat guilty of this perception that just that a stamp that is 60, 70, 80 years old has a value beyond its face value. Not realizing or not really appreciating that these stamps were printed literally in the hundreds of millions, if not billions. So it's great that we are still able to use so much of what we have for their originally intended purpose, and it makes an impression upon the recipient.
Yeah. What is the, not to out this, but what is the most creative or interesting thing that's found within your collection?
Oh, gee. Yeah, that's...
It's like trying to pick which child do you think is best, but...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that of course, that's subjective to the individual. I have a few things that, the things I find most interesting are the items which align with my personal interests. My background in aviation history, I gravitate toward a cover that we have in an envelope that was aboard the airship Hindenburg when it blew up in 1937 in Lakehurst, New Jersey. That's on extended loan to us and on display in our main gallery. I appreciate the creativity that postage stamps can bring, and that manifests itself in any number of items we have on display, including a dress which the creator had covered with United States postage stamps back in the 1930s to create this patriotic presentation. We call it the stamp dress, of course, and it's a great opportunity for us to talk about not only the history of United States postage, it's a very patriotic themed piece, but also to talk about how people can use stamps in other creative pursuits, not necessarily just for their postage value. I love that kind of stuff. And the very first postage stamp that was ever created, the English penny black, which was put out in May of 1840. We have an entire sheet of those. These are primary source documents to United States and world history. You're not going to find them in a greater concentration in many other places in the world. So to have that again here in the town of Weston is a real feather in our cap.
So when I was growing up, I actually had a board game that was a stamp collecting board game. I don't know if you've seen this or heard of this or not.
I haven't.
If I can find this, I will let you know.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Well, listen, I wish you the very best. And is there anything coming up that you wish that the people would know about, people of Weston? I know you talk about things on your own show, but...
Sure, yeah. Well, of course, I'll plug our show here. We have a great partner in the Weston Media Center, and being able to put this kind of content out there for the town citizens is vital. And people can tune in to, we are rebranding to the Spellman Spotlight is going to be our monthly program, and they can see our upcoming events on there. Anybody around the world, of course, can check out our website and see all of the coming events.
And my guess is that you have a lot of people from around the world and around the country that are looking at that.
And we do. So again, it's a great opportunity for us to reach the citizens of the town, but also to reach people literally around the earth.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and visiting with me today, and for all that you and your volunteers do to make Weston a really special place.
Thank you very much, Leon. I appreciate the opportunity.
And to you, the viewers, I want to thank you all for attending and listening in on this presentation. If you folks haven't noticed, I have a brand new podcast that we established here through Weston Media. It is basically to help the residents of Weston understand what happens at the select board meetings. I know that not everyone has the opportunity of watching or attending our select board meetings, or going back and watching them on video and on Weston Media, or looking at the minutes. But you want to be able to keep up on things that are going on in the town while you're stuck in traffic on your way to Boston. I established this with our friends here at Weston Media to kind of give a very high level understanding as to what things are being decided and talked about at the select board meetings, so that if you do have an interest in those subjects, you can go back and go and look at the minutes or watch the videos here on Weston Media or on the town's website. So if you haven't subscribed to that feature yet, I encourage you to do so. And until next time, I want to see you all under the cupola.